Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and this audio video is to introduce my signature class, Astro 101, Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self, where we go deeper into the basic aspects of astrology, but in a different way than typical classes laid out in the Western culture way. That is, spitting out facts and figures and encouraging you to memorize and spit it back. No. We will use your own blueprint so that what you are learning becomes embodied wisdom that then becomes a natural resource that is customized to your own individual needs and desires and available anytime you need it to support you in endless ways. Getting familiar with your own blueprint and your personal cycles and patterns can be an invaluable tool for navigating life on individual, social, and collective levels. The Astro 101 class is an 8-week class that will meet once a week on Tuesdays in September and Wednesdays in October this year. This is a class that I do annually, and there is a classroom where all the tools and replays are housed for you to circle back to when needed. There are customized goodies and learning tools for you to dive into in between classes, and we encourage you to come with an open heart and mind and a willingness to share your own perspective, because that is how we can all learn from each other's varied experiences and expand our repertoire of response to life, love, health, everything. I also have a unique perspective in that everything goes through a cycles and patterns filter so that you can start to pick up on the repetitive patterns which both help and hinder your progress in life. I will post a little overview of each class over the next couple weeks in the hopes that you will consider joining me to go deeper in September, October. I also welcome and appreciate when you share my offerings with others, so feel free to share this video with your friends. This week I want to share about the signs, which I call lessons and expressions. There is so much more to astrology than your sun sign, but it is a good place to start because the sun hits the same sign at the same time every year, so the rhythm is easy to follow. The annual cycle is something we will cover specifically in the sun and moon class during week 6, but the first week we will dive into the standard 12 signs, which in my world is actually 6 sets of 2. Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sag, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. They're all related in various ways in their elements and modalities, in how they function and what families they kind of belong to. Some of you may have heard me describe it in the seasonal rhythm as winter, spring, summer, fall being associated with Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, which are cardinal, which are active, and there's lots of choices and changes and movement at the turn of the seasons. What I've been training and conditioning you all to pay a little more attention to is the month before the turn of the wheel and the month after the turn of the wheel. The month before is always Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces, which is the mutable family, and what I call the processors. It's the areas of life in our chart where we do our mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical processing and integration so that whatever information we're picking up on is either being filtered out for the nonsense or factored in and integrated into the system to support and guide you. So we do this processing before the winter, spring, summer, fall shift, which helps because then when you go to make those choices and changes and movements, it goes much better if you've done your proper processing. Then once choices and changes are made, we go to the month after, which is always ruled by Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, Scorpio, which are the fixed babies, where we either anchor permanently or release permanently. So the rhythm becomes process, choose, anchor, or release. Process, choose, anchor, or release, depending on what you're doing. So then you start to feel into, well, what time is it? Is it time for me to be processing? Is it time for me to be making moves? Is it time for me to be anchoring or releasing and clearing something, preparing for the next process? So that alone becomes a valuable rhythm. And the breakdown of the 6 sets of 2 I'd like to share with you is that Aries, Libra are 2 sides of a related energy. Aries is the individual self within the Libra context of relationships and partnerships and how we interact with others in general. Taurus, Scorpio becomes about resources and safety and security and power and sex and death and what I call food, sex, and money. Our primal needs, our essential needs show up in our Taurus, Scorpio department. Taurus side being the area where we are capable of generating and manifesting our own resources, and Scorpio, it tends to point out how we share resources and share intimacy, and where sex and money are really important parts of being in this life at this time, until that shifts. This is what we all have to deal with. Gemini Sag is your individual thinking and then your belief systems. So it's kind of your lower mind, higher mind, and it has to do with your ideas, thoughts, and concepts, and then the story that you weave, the meaning that you make out of it is the Sag side. Cancer, Capricorn, we're back to some essential primal needs: home and work, family, public and private aspects of self, things like that we all have to deal with, and we all have it somewhere in our blueprint. But you start to learn that these opposites can help you balance out when you're extreme in one direction or the other. So Cancer is our private, personal, internal, emotional default settings. And Capricorn represents a lot of our inner authority and how we make those choices and decisions, and how we kind of run our lives to a certain extent is our Capricorn department, is your inner wisdom. So see, all of them are kind of higher and lower octaves of a similar vibe. Leo Aquarius is related to self-love and self-worth and your unique contribution to the world. But in a personal way, Leo is your light that you shine, the energy that you radiate out from your center, your essence, right? Aquarius is the community that you're magnetized to, the friends and the dreams and the hopes for the future aspect of things comes up in our Aquarius department. And then the last one is Virgo Pisces, which I usually refer to as the spirit and human form concept that we have to deal with here. Virgo being our physical form and what we have to do in a practical, everyday way to function in a healthy way and to have balance in our systems. We have several systems in our physical body that work on their own and then have to communicate and work together. And that's where we work with our Virgo out in the world. And Pisces is that emotional, intuitive, psychic, empathic, like all the water energies I call. Cancer is the empath, Scorpio is the psychic, Pisces is the intuitive. We all have it somewhere. And then to the degree that we learn how to work it is how deep it can go for us. But Pisces is also where we surrender, where Virgo wants to control and organize and be ready and prepared. Pisces goes with the flow, and that's the part of us that has to trust in our higher selves, trust in spirit or God or source of your understanding. It's that connection that all that is. So like I said earlier, once you start realizing if you're imbalanced in one direction, usually Aries Libra is an easy one to do. If you're being too selfish and not paying attention to your relationships, it causes an imbalance. If you're too focused on relationships and people pleasing and appeasing, then your Aries individual self starts to feel violated and let down. So there's a balance to these things. And that's something I don't think everyone talks about in mainstream astrology, how you can learn to embody these different aspects of self and call on them as a resource when you need to. So I hope you will consider joining us. It is a small, intimate class of 10 to 20 so that we can go narrow and deep and you can get all your questions answered. I've been offering this class annually since 2021, and as of 2024, folks are asking for a level 2, which I still have to create, and I will, if I find a few more of you interested this year, then I will organize and offer that in 2026, along with this standard introduction, because there are always folks who want to learn the basics. And that's level 1, what we're doing this year, September, October. Level 2 will be devoted to those who want to use astrology to help others. Okay, so that's when you want to kind of go into business, and there's a lot of other things to consider when you do that. That's what level 2 will be about, and level 1 will be a prerequisite because you're going to want to have all these basics under your belt before you try to do it for anyone else. That's the other reason that I use your blueprint to teach with. So we all get to speak on how these things manifest for ourselves. And when sharing in a group like that, everyone learns a different aspect of that energy or sign or planet or house or whatever we're talking about in the class. It can be very rich. And each year the students have bonded and connected, and the classroom is infinitely valuable because we all need to hit a replay every now and then. And if that time on Tuesday, Wednesday night doesn't work for you, then the classroom becomes really valuable that way too. Go to kellymbeard.com and click on classes to get some details. This 8-week class is $333. For Power Circle and Venus Circle subscribers, you get 10% off, making it $300. So I hope that you all will consider joining me this year. And as I said, this is annual, so if this year doesn't work for you, maybe you can join us next year. Thank you so much for being part of my community. Thanks for listening. This is Kelly Beard of Karmic Tools signing off. Be well.